Eating right. Two words that are daily chopped, diced, pureed, julienne, and liquefied in today's culture. But what does it really mean to eat right? In a moment, Rose Reisman, the popular author and caterer, will help Lorna find order in the chaos of today's bumper crop of food philosophies. Then meet cookbook author, TV host, and food gelante Sandy Richard, to whom Daily Bread is about body and soul. This is Context, a look at life beyond the headlines.
Well, with disturbing trends in diet and chronic diseases, including a 75% increase in childhood obesity over the past 3 decades, lawmakers want to change the way we think about how we eat. And Ontario recently announced its plan to acquire some restaurants to post calorie counts right on the menu. Rose Reisman is part of Ontario's Healthy Kids panel who recommended the new law. Welcome to Context, Rose.
Thank you, Lorna. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, okay, so you're going to start policing the way we eat, but when we started with your cookbooks, Rose, Canada knows your cookbooks so well, you were all about butter, sugar, high cream.
We're not going to tell too many people
chocolate
that.
chips.
But
what changed?
My books was really like a pound of butter, cream cheese, chocolate. I had a heyday. Until my own cholesterol in my mid-30s went off the Richter scale. And I should tell you, genetically, I lost my father, my grandmother, and my aunt, my father's sister, in their 50s due to cardiovascular, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and diabetes. My doctor looked at me in my 30s and he said, wait a minute, you're fit, you're running every day, and I was an overweight child. He said, what are you eating? And all of a sudden it was like the curtain was open, the kimono was open. And I said, I secretly eat a lot of my high-fat foods, but I thought because I'm slim and I work out, I'm okay. You don't judge a book by its cover.
Wow. And
it was that day that I realized, you know, I'd really like to live many more years and be healthy. And that's when I started with the whole light cooking, and I found out it is tremendous. It's not about deprivation. It's the only way to go.
Yeah, I love your stuff. Okay, but now this is so exciting because you're on the Healthy Kids panel.
Right.
And if this actually gets pushed into law,
right,
it may really address this issue of the obesity rates in kids. Tell us why we should be sounding the alarm so loud on chubby children.
Well, because just take a look today. I mean, it used to be, you know, like kids weren't overweight. Kids walked to school, kids were slim. We worried about the skinny kids all the time.
Right.
And if they got a little chubby, it was cute. Right now, 1 out of 3 to 4 children are overweight or obese. Here's the problem. If they stay overweight to the age of 16, there's an 80% chance they're going to be overweight adults. Here's what happens. So let's say if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you're overweight, you get high cholesterol, right? You get pre-diabetic conditions. 10, 15 years from then, if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to be in real trouble with heart disease, with full-blown diabetes, amputation, blindness, all of this. So if a kid already at the age of 5 is overweight, they're already starting to clog their arteries. Kids already have clogged arteries. Absolutely. Teenagers today are being tested to find out they have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. When I had my 4 children, we never tested that stuff. We just didn't think to. Well, if a kid already by the age of 12 has high cholesterol, pre-diabetic condition, how many years do they have if they don't start taking? By the time they're in their 30s, they'll have full-blown heart disease and diabetes.
Okay, so there's some huge lifestyle changes in this generation. Right. Is this a computer thing, a Game Boy, sedentary lifestyle?
Part of it is, but more so is the fast food environment.
Okay, and you do really, like this whole campaign, Healthy Kids, you're going right after the restaurant chains. Is the core of this, though, because it's still the mom who feeds the children, is it that we're going to restaurants instead of cooking at home?
Yeah, I mean, and I get it, because everybody's working today, and hours are no longer, you know, short hours. People are coming in the door at 7. It's really hard to start chopping, but a little preparation, anything, just a pasta with a little chicken and tomato sauce, even jarred tomato sauce, better than going through the drive-thru. Now, there are better choices. And I did tell the panel this, and I wrote a book on it called Choose It and Lose It, where I'm saying you can go to McDonald's and find a better burger than the other. Is it still great? No, but it's a better choice.
So our compulsion to restaurants and fast foods is the bad factor in our diet. Right. And the Restaurant Association has really pushed back on government sticking their nose into this.
Yeah.
And so they've got their own informed eating program. BC's got it, Manitoba's got it. Why is that not good enough to let them just do this?
It's not good enough because informed means go to my website. And how many of you have ever been to a website of a restaurant? Oh my God, it's usually 12 pages long. And then you're looking and it will say fish and chips. Well, there's the fish, the chips are on page 4, and then you go,
All right,
oh.
so
it's not, they're doing it because it's a much harder way. And how many of you are gonna go into a restaurant, go back to your iPhone?
How do I break my addiction to restaurants? How does a person do that?
You have to be able to read a menu well. Calories would really help. Fat and sodium would really help. So if I saw, let's say, at McDonald's, an Angus burger is 560 calories, a Big Mac is 400, you might just say, you know what, Big Mac tastes pretty good to me. I'm gonna have the Big Mac. By us starting to educate the public, you're gonna make small differences. Those small steps lead to big steps. And ultimately, you're gonna start going in, and I promise you, 6 months from then, you'll say, you know what, maybe I don't need the burger.
Okay,
maybe
so-
I'll go to something else.
And is reading the labels enough? Is reading the calorie count enough
No,
for my health?
You really want to know not just calories, because there's good calories like olive oil, Mediterranean diet, and avocado, 300 calories. But that's a great calorie, and you might want that as a snack in the afternoon. You want to be looking for the fat and the saturated fat and the sodium and the sugar. But I understand
And
today...
how bad is sugar?
Sugar causes weight gain. People think sugar causes diabetes. It doesn't. The problem with consuming too much sugar, you're going to get fat. Once you get fat, you're ready for heart disease.
And it's everywhere.
clog-
It's like
It's
in
everywhere.
3 teaspoons in tomato soup.
In everything, and people who go in even for the cafe lattes and all those frozen mochas and coffee drinks in the summer, tons and tons of sugar. And I'm talking, you can go into a Starbucks or Second Cup, and 1 cup can have as many as 15 teaspoons of sugar.
Okay, so I'm not sure if this is a trend, all of this reading our labels and all that we're into now, but there's a new trend every week. Mediterranean diet,
Oh,
you
yeah.
said. That was hot in the news
Yes,
last week.
yes.
So how do you make your way through the trends? Gluten-free, wheat belly, all of
Wheat
these
belly,
things.
yeah. I mean, the paleo diet. Here's what I say. Every diet works for a short time, Lorna. So you want to start a diet, what do you think you're doing on a diet? You're writing down everything you're eating. If you went home and did that how you normally live, you'd eat less. If you had to count every mouthful I was going to put in my mouth, and you had to write it down, all of a sudden you'd smack your hand. So here a diet saying, okay, no grains. That's so easy. No bread, no crackers, no rice, no pasta. Guess what? You're eating a lot less calories. That's all you're really doing. Any diet tricks your mind into saying, well, I'm no longer eating sugar, I'm not eating fish anymore, I'm not eating meat anymore. You're cutting out food groups. Naturally, you're gonna lose weight. But in the end, that's not lifestyle that can be sustained.
Yeah.
You can't sustain that for life because we crave it.
Speaking of sustaining, we are all about the spiritual side. Is this a stewardship issue for you as well? Like, do you think there's something bigger about our bodies that needs...
Yeah, I think we have to treat our bodies way better than we are. I mean, think about, what we think about ourselves every day. We don't, when you put in food, or even when you smoke, you don't see the results right away. So you're putting in all this junk food, and maybe the audience, if they're under 30, some of them are, they go, I'll worry about it in 10 years. It's too late.
Okay, you gave me some great suggestions here. Just quickly run us through.
Yeah.
These are like instant alternatives to the drive-through.
Absolutely. So, I mean, let's say if your kids love peanut butter, but peanut butter's not allowed, there's natural almond butter, cashew butter.
Oh, that's how you get around it.
That's how you get around it. So when the peanut allergy started, before all the nut allergy, I sent them with almond butter. And with the almond butter, do not buy the ones that are not pure. Why? Almost a quarter of that jar is icing sugar.
Wow.
And can be hydrogenated.
But does almond butter work in a nut-free zone?
In a nut-free zone, no. So here, you're going to go to something that does. This is called Wow. This is soy butter. Soy nuts ground up. It's absolutely delicious. They do add a little icing sugar to this. I wish they didn't, but they do. So I would send that. Smells like peanut butter. It's delicious. And I'll put that on either some whole grain bread, or what you want to do is get your kids eating these kind of crackers, which are whole grain crackers.
Not the sugar-based cracker.
Right,
The whole
and with so
grain.
much sodium. And another...
It's amazing how these are harder to find.
Well, you know what? I find them in all the supermarkets today. Now, here's something. So my kids would go to school. I love to give them roasted turkey or roast beef on whole grain bread. But often there's so much sodium and excess fat. Pillars came out with a great product called Simply Free. No allergens. No gluten in this whatsoever.
Very low
Safe
calorie.
to eat, very low calorie, healthy for the kids. And then I always like to bring this on popcorn. Don't let your kids eat the movie popcorn, all the time, especially the large size. You're looking at 2,000 calories, Lorna, for a big bag of popcorn with a little butter. I take popcorn at home, I put it in a paper bag, a handful, microwave for 2.5 minutes in a paper bag. You get incredible air-popped popcorn. Then I put some Parmesan cheese on it, even a little vegetable oil.
You can home make your bags for
Absolutely.
popcorn? I didn't know that.
All the time. And this is
Okay.
what I'll snack on when I'm in front of my computer instead of snacking on potato chips or chocolate bars.
Okay. These are kind of high calorie, the nuts though, right? They can be tricky.
Nuts are tricky, so you want to be careful, but they're filled with omega fatty acids, great protein, edamame. This just sit. Let the kids, while they're playing on their
that stuff.
Nintendo, nibble on this. But again, here's a high calorie food, but it's such a heart healthy food. And if you have 10 or 15 of those, you're full.
Yes,
that's
but
the
that's
difference.
the key. 10 or 15.
That's the
10
key.
or 15 almonds.
That's the key.
Okay. All right, Rose, do you eat oatmeal in the morning? I do.
Oatmeal, you know what, I don't. I must tell you, I don't. But if you're going to eat oatmeal, this is what you want to go steel cut. And what you do is don't buy the packaged ones in the envelopes.
Yeah.
Sugar, there's a lot of additives. Cook this up, and sometimes,
Can't
believe
you
it or
just
not,
have whole flake? Like homemade whole flake?
Yeah,
not fat, because the
fantastic,
steel cut
absolutely.
thing doesn't, people like me, we don't have time for
right,
that.
and
That's a long
even that,
thing.
the other, just add some dried apricot, some fruit, and brings me also to Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt's got so much protein, more than even if you have a couple slices of chicken or turkey. This with some homemade granola, or even, you know, throw it into your oatmeal, you've got a muesli.
Okay.
It's really,
but
really
still
easy
watch the
ideas.
sugar content on our yogurts.
Yeah, and you know what, you're
Yes.
better off always going with plain zero fat and adding fruit in, but the kids usually don't go for that.
Right, okay. Rose, you're going to stay with us for
Yes,
our
absolutely.
next segment, but around our own context office, Sheldon Neal is something of a food legend. Look at that tall, lean physique. And we know you've done some thinking about what Rose has to say, Sheldon.
Lord, about 2,000 years before anyone dreamed up even the phrase, will you have fries with that? Paul wrote to the Corinthians that the body is a temple. But do we honor it with the foods we eat? Our question to you at home is, are your eating habits getting better or worse? We'd love to know what your thoughts are, rather. So send us an email, connect with us by Twitter, Facebook. We want to hear from you. Is it getting better or worse?
All right, when we come back, TV host and meal planning expert Sandy Richard joins Rose and myself to tackle some of your questions about eating right. That's coming up.